Can you see it now?
We're recording.
It's recording.
So what we'll do now is all this gobbledygook, I'll just chop off. I'll edit this.
Sure you will.
Yes. So say whatever you want to say now.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you're allowing people to log on and you wanted us to introduce ourselves, how are we doing that? Because the way you want us to go around the screen or just start with Diane and go?
That's what I think. We'll just start with Diane.
Alex, Anna?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you and I don't need to say anything about that, right? Just the ministry leaders, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start. I'll do like 3 seconds of silence and then I'll start. You guys ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom meeting. This is the Next Generation Leaders meeting that is talking about our reopening plans at Canopy Roads Baptist Church for 3 ministries. We have Canopy Kidz, Pier 252, and our Awana ministry. And so as you are logging on and as you're finding this live feed, we're going to give you a few minutes just to settle in. And so one of the first things we're going to do, just to give you some time, is go around so that everybody knows who everyone is. And I'm just going to start with Miss Diane. And Diane, would you just introduce yourself by stating your name, the ministry that you oversee, and then also how long you have been in your current role?
My name is Diane Abrams. I am in charge of Canopy Kidz, and I have been a leader since 2012. So, well, no, that's a lie. 2000. It's been 13 years. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, my name is Jenna Morris, and I am the Children's Ministry Associate here at Canopy Roads. And my family has been attending Canopy Roads for quite a while, but I have been serving in this role for a year. So we're excited to be reopening.
And we're Anna and Alex Buck. We are the Awana commanders, and we've been leading this ministry since 4 years now.
Yeah.
You said 4?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. And Jenna, you just celebrated like your 1-year anniversary. Was it last week?
It was last week. Last year was when I began serving in this role. So it's been an interesting year. I definitely didn't think my first year of leading, we would be leading in a pandemic. So it's been quite interesting, but I've enjoyed still being able to connect with kids. But yep, it's been a whole year.
And Matt, you just you reached your year mark a couple years ago too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm glad to have celebrated my year. So again.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys. We love serving with you, and we want to jump in here and get kind of right down to it. I thought I'd go ahead and start off just by letting everybody know kind of why we decided to make this video in the first place, the purpose behind it. And the purpose of this video was really to inform families and inform parents of some of the changes that they can expect to see in each one of these ministries in light of COVID-19. And, COVID-19 has really changed a ton of things, almost everything. But I would say that our mission is not really one of them. We're still laser focused on developing fully devoted followers of Christ. And we simply want to use this video to convey to everybody that we're trying to create as safe an environment as possible for our children and the families that we serve here at CRBC. And so that's really how this video is going to work. We're going to talk about some of the general changes that we're going to make and that we've already made. And then we're going to get into some of the specifics of each ministry. And we've asked Diane and Jenna and Alex and Anna to share a little bit more about that. They'll have an opportunity towards the end of the video to do that. And before we get into it, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you are watching, you can post a comment at any time. We will interact with those comments and we will respond to any of the questions that you do ask. And for Diane, Jenna, Alex, and Anna, we are going to post their contact information as well. I think most people already have that, but if you don't, just be sure to look in the comments section of this post, and you can ask them a specific question if you have one as well. And so as we jump in, I'd just like to start with a word of prayer, and then we will begin. Heavenly Father, we just thank you that even in such a wild and crazy time in our country and in our world, that you are still supreme, that you are still sovereign. None of the things that we are experiencing these days are outside of your control. And we know that you can use even the worst of situations for your glory, for your purposes. And so we just ask right now for your blessing on this meeting tonight, that we would stay focused on your call, your mission, for us to make disciples who make disciples. And as we do that, we just trust in your promises, Lord, that you've said that you'll never leave us nor forsake us. And we ask all these things and pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some general changes that we've made at CRBC. I'm going to go through some of these things, and then we'll get into some more of the specifics a little bit later on. And guys, if at any point I forget something, or you think that I need to say something more about that, or Matt, if you want to jump in, feel free to do that. We're not locked into any of this here. But I'm going to go ahead and go down my list here. And like I said, feel free to jump in if you notice something. So just to begin with, our reopening dates are for Canopy Kidz, which is our preschool ministry. That's August 23rd. And then for Pier 252 and Awana, our official reopening date for that is September 13th. So mark your calendar for both of those dates. And we just wanted to say this at the beginning. We are still adhering to Leon County's mask ordinance. We're still technically under that. So we're asking that any person above the age, or actually any person age 6 and above, wear a mask while they're indoors at Canopy Roads. That includes kids age 6 and above, and then also all of our volunteers and staff. We're going to be asking that they wear a mask as well. Volunteers, if they're in a teaching capacity, or if they have a Bible lesson they're giving, we're going to allow them, and the county allows them to remove their mask during that time. But then after that teaching time has concluded, they're going to put their mask back on. I want to go over just a few wellness guidelines as well. This is stuff that simply just by way of reminder. I think most of the people watching and most of us already know this. But first and foremost, if your child is sick, please keep them at home. If they have a runny nose or a sore throat, please keep them home. Certainly keep them home if they are running a fever or exhibiting any sort of flu-like symptoms as well. We're going to ask our volunteers to do the exact same thing. And so we would just ask the parents and families to keep an eye on that. I will be the first to admit that my wife and I have sent our kids to Canopy Roads in the past with slightly runny noses, scratchy throats, things like that. But we are in the age of COVID. And so we're just asking parents to err on the side of caution and don't do that. Just stay home, keep your kids home, that sort of thing. We're going to be instructing our volunteers as well to kind of look for this as kids come in. If they do believe that a child may be sick, we're going to ask parents to pick up their kid from the ministry areas as well. We're not going to be taking your child's temperature right when they come to Canopy Roads and right when you drop them off at each ministry. But we will have a non-contact or a zero contact thermometer. It's basically a thermometer that stays, an inch or two away from the child's head that we can use if we think we need to determine if a child's parents need to be contacted or called. Like I said earlier, we're going to be asking our volunteers to monitor themselves as well. And again, if they're exhibiting any sort of these symptoms, we're going to ask them to stay home too. Our check-in areas, most of them, actually all of them, are going to be like zero contact zones. In the past, you've gone to the computer, you've typed in your phone number. Now we're simply going to ask parents to tell a volunteer their phone number, and one of our volunteers are going to be in charge of registering the kids, printing off the tags. So be on the lookout for that. After check-in, we're asking some of our volunteers to escort the children to their classrooms or to their ministry areas, just to try to limit some of the movement of people in some of those ministry zones and ministry hallways. And then we're going to keep doors open as families are arriving, but then as the service starts, we're gonna close those doors as well. Just a quick pause on that. Any questions on some of those things? Guys, can you think of anything that I may have missed just in kind of the general stuff, or anything we need to elaborate on a little bit more?
I think you got it.
Okay. Well, if the folks watching do have some questions, please feel free to type those in, and we'll answer those as soon as we can. But if there's not anything else that you guys can think of, I'm going to keep moving if that's all right. Okay. So I want to move into some of the ministry-specific changes that we're making as well. And Diane, since you oversee some of the youngest children, let's just go ahead and start with Canopy Kidz. So maybe you could describe some of the changes that parents could expect to see when they're dropping kids off at Canopy Kidz on August 23rd.
Yes, like Justin has discussed, we are going to do only one volunteer doing all the check-in at the same computer, but it will be the same person. Nobody else will touch the screen. And then we are asking that parents, we will take your child from you once you check them in. A volunteer will walk them to the preschool area. We are asking parents to go beyond checkout point, please. And then, like Justin has mentioned, I know in the preschool, it's really easy to bring your child with a runny nose and coughing and say, it's allergies, it's this. It possibly could be, but with COVID, we just want to be very careful. So if we feel like your child is showing any kind of symptoms, we will have to come and talk to you about it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So Diane, in the past, after parents would check in, they would walk their kids down that hallway to a classroom. Now they're going to check in, put the stickers on their kids, and then a volunteer is going to meet them at the door. Is that correct?
Yes, Justin, that's correct.
Cool.
And I guess that will be the same for the pickup too, right, Diane? That they'll come to
Absolutely,
the
yes. As soon as service is over, I will probably have a couple volunteers hopefully be able to be out by the door, and then when the parent comes, they can tell us who they need, and we can run and get them as quickly as possible. We'll try to make it as quickly as possible so that we don't have a bunch of people standing there waiting to pick up their child for the social distancing.
Right.
And
it's a large area to do that in too, so it'll be easy to socially distance there in the cafe area.
Well, Diane, what about classroom sizes? I know that you and I had kicked around a few things. What are you thinking for that?
We are going to cap the number. I'm thinking we talk between 5 and 6 as long as room and volunteers will allow. As of right now, I don't see that being a problem. And then we're hoping to like separate them at the tables, like the older kids when they sit down to do their stuff, like 2 on each side and then 1 on each end. Hopefully wiping down as much as we can possibly do when we see a child have a toy and sit it back down. I have went through the classrooms and I've taken out a lot of the stuff out of the classrooms. There are toys still in there, and we will take the toys out and bring them back in the next week. Or if a child really wants a certain toy, they're in the closets, we can always let the child go in and pick a toy and bring it out. So we have tried to keep as much area clean as possible and not as much clutter, so that way we can try and keep up on disinfecting and keeping it down as much as possible.
Yeah. Just trying to anticipate some of the questions that parents may have. What about like snack time? I know that we've done goldfish in the past and that sort of thing. Are we making any changes to that?
I think we can do it as long as we wear gloves, and then like they will be seated individually anyways. They always have their own snacks on a paper towel. So the only person that's usually touching the snack stuff will be the volunteer. So I'm thinking if we wear gloves, we should be able to handle that.
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Jenna, do you have any ministry specific changes that parents could anticipate as well? I know that you're in building B, which is one of the modular buildings behind the main building, and it looks a little bit different than Canopy Kidz. What should parents expect dropping off and picking up there?
Okay. So a lot of things really are going to be similar with Canopy Kidz. So I won't reiterate all of that stuff. We're going to follow a lot of the same procedures with pickup and drop off, contactless check-in and all of that. So I know Justin's mentioned it, Diane's mentioned it. So I won't go through all of those details again. But yes, we are not part of the main building. So in building B, our entrance into the building is you enter from the outside. And so we will keep the doors open as kids are arriving and parents are bringing their kids over. And we'll greet them at the door and follow the same procedure with the contactless check-in. But we'll keep them right there. And then when we begin the service, we'll close those doors. But we'll have hand sanitizer right there at the door. So we'll encourage kids to pump and get their hands clean as soon as they come in. We'll have them mounted on the wall, and then we have a pump as well. We also have a bathroom so they can always wash their hands there, but we're going to encourage volunteers and kids to pump their hand sanitizer as soon as they get there. Let me see, I have some notes about else. If in Pier 252, kindergarten, I know it's 5 and 6. Most of our kids that are going to be over there will have masks. Obviously, if they're not quite 6 years old yet, they don't have to. I will be wearing one. All of our volunteers will. And as Justin mentioned, we do a lot of teaching. And so the times where we're teaching, we'll take those off. Same thing with the temperatures. We'll just take those as we see, a concern there. If you've walked in our building, you know that we have a really nice space. I think most people can socially distance children fairly easily. And so we will make sure that when children are sitting in the large area, that they're socially distanced, far enough apart. We're not going to do small groups. We're just going to stay as a large group the whole time. When we do small groups, it's hard to not share supplies and all of that. So we're just going to stay in one large group the whole time. And any activities that we're going to do will be no contact. The kids will be able to participate in those activities from their seats. We don't really need to sanitize between services at this point if we're going to continue doing one, which that was a question I have. Matt and Justin, we're just going to continue to have one service now. Is that correct?
Until we have enough people coming that we need to start a second service because of preschool or children, capacity or outdoor capacity. If we run out of shade, people aren't going to come sit in the sun.
That's
so
right.
then we would do that. Just like if we were adding a service for the very first time, when we added a second service, we outgrew our facilities at one age group level, and then we needed to add another service. And in that case, we will disinfect between the services. Like in preschool, we would also have a service 1 set of toys and a service 2 second set of toys, so they wouldn't be sharing things between the services. And so, we'll disinfect everything between the services once we get to that point, and we have no idea when that will be.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify so I got the right information. So yeah, if we end up having to do 2 services, we'll sanitize in between, just like we were doing when we were meeting indoors for adult worship. And then I'm going to try and encourage children to regularly sanitize hands or wash them. If you know kids very well, their hands are in their mouths a lot, doing all kinds of things, even at elementary age. And so we'll try and remember to do that regularly. And then one thing I'm looking forward to that we're going to continue doing is for those of you that maybe are not comfortable quite yet returning to in-person worship, we will still be offering our online service for kids. So that's something I'm really looking forward to that we're going to still offer. So we understand if you're really not comfortable coming back yet. And this will also allow you to see how we are handling procedures and COVID-19 in Pier 252, because you'll be able to watch our service online. So that's something I'm excited that we're going to continue to offer. But I think most of everything I was going to say, I've mentioned. A lot of our arrival procedures and dismissal is going to follow the same as Canopy Kidz. So I think I got everything that I was going to mention.
Yeah, I was just going to mention too, you mentioned sanitizing, often throughout the hour. In Pier 252, as well as I think each classroom in the preschool, we have wall-mounted hand sanitizers, foaming hand sanitizers. There's some in the lobby space and then in those ministry spaces as well. But I'm sure there'll be some bottles floating around, but we have those available, so we can definitely do that. Yeah, thanks, Jenna. Alex and Anna, what about you guys?
In Awana, we'll also have contactless check-in and pickup procedures. We'll also be encouraging everyone to sanitize their hands frequently, and we'll be maintaining social distance during activities as possible.
And I'll just add, we're not going to use any shared materials or equipment during our activities, and we'll have individual or pre-packaged snacks for the kids during snack time. Volunteers, of course, will wear gloves. So that's some of the things doing, or some of the changes this fall.
Awesome.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. Since you guys have games, is that going to be changed at all during this, as opposed to the way games would normally be done?
We'll still have games. Game time is probably one of the favorite of all the times in Awana. We're going to do
Hey, Diane, if you hit the mute button.
Sorry.
If you hit the mute button, we won't hear the puppies running. Thank you.
but there'll be new games.
Okay.
Distance games.
We thought about
Contact
ball, but we figured that because the kids might have a little extra motivation to avoid the ball, but we're going to skip them too.
Yeah, well, dang. No tackle football either, so, and no touch football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, cool. Matt, do you have any other?
Hey, Justin,
Yes, sir.
one thing we could mention, I guess, if people are concerned about capacity, you and I went over to the Pier 252 main worship area today, and we can easily socially distance 25 people in there, even if they're in different families. So 25 different family groups. So we could actually put more if you had siblings sit together, but I know the siblings don't like to sit together at church. Unless they're in trouble. If they're in timeout, they have to sit together. But so we have plenty of capacity in there for the kids coming back, and honestly, that would be true for the Awana as well, that share that space and that share the student building, the TNT over there, and the Sparks and the children's building. There's plenty of room for 25 to 30 in each of those rooms. Actually, probably more in the student ministry for TNT. And if we outgrow that space, and we have the worship center for whichever club gets too big for that, and we hope that happens.
That's right. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add or comment on?
I just like to say, Justin, we are tremendously excited about being able to reopen. I mean, it feels like we've been holding our breath for 4 or 5 months. And wanting to get back to this, but we wanted to do it safely. We wanted to do it in a way that volunteers will be protected as well as the kids. Volunteers are probably honestly a little bit more concerned in terms of potential COVID serious symptoms. So we want to make sure that everybody was as safe as we possibly could with a reopening. But with schools reopening, we wanted to provide that opportunity here because we believe that the gospel is an essential ministry. And so all of our volunteers and directors here are essential personnel in the kingdom, and they are in our country as well. So I just thank you for all the work that's going into this. Jenna, you and Justin have done the lion's share of the work of putting together these COVID protocols, and we appreciate all the work and the feedback from Diane and Alex and Anna. You guys have been great in providing feedback for that. So we're just pumped. I mean, we're excited about being able to reopen and begin getting back to a new type of normal, whatever that looks like. But we just miss you guys. We miss your kids, and we just can't wait to be back together. So we hope that you will join us as soon as you feel safe. And I know your kids will love it, and we'll love having you guys there.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be making these reopening plans available to you via email. So be on the lookout for that, an email from these ministry leaders. And as always, feel free to reach out to really any of us with any sort of question or concern that you may have. We're looking forward to reconnecting with everybody and continuing to partner with you in discipling your kids to be fully devoted followers of Christ. And so until then, I'm signing off unless anybody else wants to jump in.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See ya. I'm just going to